Good evening. Today is September 21st at 7:01. This is the Town of Babylon Planning Board. We have two public hearings. Before we start our public hearings, we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ed, could you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming out tonight. The first public hearing is Planning Board Job 1614A, Long Island Teen Challenge. Is there someone here on behalf of the applicant? Before we start, I just want to read this statement into the record. The Planning Board shall have the right to rely on any information that is presented by the applicant. If any such information is later found to be inaccurate or incorrect, the Planning Board may determine that any approvals, building permits, or other actions previously granted in connection with the application are null and void. Good evening. Could you please state your name and address?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Jessica Lees. I'm an attorney with Forcelli Deegan Toronto with offices at 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard in Uniondale, New York.
Okay, Council, have you had the opportunity to review the memo from the Planning Commissioner dated September 17th with a series of conditions, covenants and restrictions and other comments?
Yes, I have.
Okay, does your client have any questions or comments or concerns about any of the items listed on this, in this memorandum?
Not at this time.
So everything on here is fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. So good evening, Chairman, members of the board. So we represent Long Island Teen Challenge, and I'm here this evening with the applicants. I have Pastor William Ramos, the president of the organization, and Pastor Ray Rosa, the vocational director of the organization, and Jen Murray, our designer, Lines and Designs. So we're here requesting site plan approval. Long Island Teen Challenge is a residential discipleship program for men, women, and married couples ages 17 and older. And it is a treatment facility, a residential treatment facility for individuals with substance abuse issues. But their approach is not only to treat substance abuse, but also to rehabilitate the individuals as a whole through counseling, vocational training, and providing the individuals with a spiritual purpose. So Long Island Teen Challenge has been operating at this West Babylon site since 1996, and they've been very successful with the individuals that they treat. As far as the site plan review before the board this evening, the subject property is located in the town's residence AA district with an address of 309 and 317 Old Farmingdale Road in West Babylon. The site's improved with two previously approved residential homes, as well as a 2,130 square foot accessory administrative building. The two residential homes are to remain as is with no proposed changes. As far as the administrative building, this was previously a 3-car garage that received approval to be converted into Long Island Teen Challenge's administrative building. This was back in 2007, they received a CO to convert the building. They're now applying to demolish the existing building and reconstruct as a one-story structure with an addition of 2,578 square feet. So the existing administrative building is not only in a state of disrepair, but it's also extremely inadequate in size to meet the needs of the staff and the residents. The proposed renovations are necessary as currently the staff all works in very close quarters with up to 3 people, plus any visiting appointments in offices that are less than, mostly less than 200 square feet each.
Hold on for 1 second.
Sure.
Could you close the door? Here. Oh, thank you. All right, thank you. Please continue.
Thank you. So the lack of privacy also presents issues as the staff deals with very sensitive data protected by HIPAA laws. So they're constantly scrambling to find alternate areas to have telephone calls or to work with the residents. Aside from the size of the existing administrative building, nothing else on the site will be changing. The changes are solely to provide more space to the existing staff. They're not trying to hire additional staff, nor are they increasing the number of residents at the site or bringing additional vehicles to the site. While the project will not increase traffic to the site, in order to meet the town's off-street parking requirements, the applicant has proposed approximately 17 additional parking spaces along the northeast and southeast of the proposed building. Further, the building is located in the rear of the property, away from the street and out of view from the nearby residential properties to the west and to the east. The property itself is sufficiently screened from the street with fencing and plantings and well kept to blend in with the surrounding residential neighborhood. As far as the interior alterations, the new structure will allow for each staff member to have their own office, as well as provide for designated counseling rooms. The counseling is not something new to the site. There have been and will continue to be 2 on-site counselors. However, they previously never had a dedicated space and had to use whatever area was free at the moment or the meeting room. The new plans provide for dedicated counseling offices. We also acknowledge that the town's restrictions included in the covenants and restrictions that the counseling services are to be limited solely to the residents of Long Island Teen Challenge and their families. These covenants and restrictions will get filed with the county clerk. The proposed building will also provide for a larger meeting room, and this is where residents receive vocational lessons and training. As far as the site plan as a whole, the applicants have met with planning multiple times and implemented the requested revisions to the plans. At this time, all comments have been addressed, including I was made aware that the outstanding issue of drainage mentioned in the memo was also addressed. So assuming that we receive site plan approval, we would also need approval from the zoning board for 3 variances to continue to permit the parking of vehicles for more than 1 hour, to maintain an administrative office building in connection with the existing dwelling units, and to maintain more than 1 dwelling unit per lot. This last variance, well, the variances were previously granted in regard to the site, but now that we're required to merge the 2 lots, it's being reevaluated and we have to renew the variances, especially in regard to the residential units, even though nothing is changing in regard to those units. So at this time, if you have any questions for either about the organization of the site, we have the pastors here. Jan Murray could also answer any technical questions.
All right, let me ask you one. Do any of the board members have any questions? Yes, Jerry.
I'm a little confused. What I have in front of me talks about adding an addition to an existing structure. You said earlier that they're going to demolish what's there and build something new.
So it was labeled as addition. So they're adding square footage, but the existing structure is in quite a state of disrepair. So they need to demolish that and rebuild.
So what's the total square footage? Because you had 2,100 square feet from one and 2,500 for the addition.
So the 2 square footage, the added square footage total would be 4,708 square
So you
feet.
can take down the old building and build 40, that's like,
4,708.
and that's the picture we saw.
Yes.
Better.
Any other questions? No? Was there somebody else that would like to address the board from your group?
If you'd like to hear anything about the organization.
No, that's not necessary. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the board regarding this application? No, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Matt? I've been advised by our planner that all of the comments from various departments and all that have come in. We will keep the record open for the public for 1 week, and we're going to extend this to, okay, our next meeting is October 5th. So I need a motion to extend the public meeting. Michael, Okay, motion to record rather, second by Ed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. By the way, I think this will be a very nice improvement to the area.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Thank you.
That came just nice.
Beautiful.
What's that?
Feel like we're upstate, it's like another world.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait for our next applicant. So what do we do? Advertise for 7:30?
Let's go down to other phone. Are they out there? People have out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start, Kevin.
Okay.
Okay, well, by the time we get to, we can take a 5-minute break, get everybody in, and it'll be 7:30.
Okay.
They say they're ready. We'll be ready. Oh.
How are you? I'm good. How are you? Good, thank you. Yeah. Oh, no. We're all together. All together. Thank you.
Hold on, buddy.
Get their attention. So when you can see.
All right.
That's fine, you guys can sit right next.
All right, we'll just start. Yes, no. Hello, everybody. Can I just share with you what's going on here? This public hearing that you're here for, which is item B, Planning Board Job 2006 AE, Gaetano Panino, what am I pronouncing? Pinello. That is scheduled for 7:30, so we posted that, so we have to wait till 7:30. But in the meantime, we have some other work that we have to do as a board. It's not part of the public hearing. So we're going to do that part of the agenda, and then as soon as it gets to 7:30, we'll begin the public hearing. All right? Thank you.
Start with item C, work session.
Okay, so this is a work session, item C, planning board job 1830 AB, VL 10, 1620 New Highway LLC.
Yes, this is the three warehouse project off the new highway. All departmental comments have been satisfied. Everyone has signed off. I'll defer to Mr. Grove, Mr. Casey for the resolution.
Okay, we
Yeah, the secret resolution for the.
ready to go? Anything, Mr. Casey, on your end?
The resolution is also in good order. We have to take up the neg deck first.
Okay, so let's move to item D then. Do we have to close the?
No, we have to vote on item D.
Item D, okay.
Yeah.
So I need a motion for the negative declaration resolution for planning board job 1830 AB, BL 10, 1620 New Highway LLC. A motion by Dan, second by Frank. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Item is approved. Let's go to item E, is that right?
Yep.
The next item is a resolution of planning board job 1830 AB, VL 10, 1620 New Highway. This is to approve the site plan.
Correct. It's the site, the plan resolution is ready, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Matt, any comments?
No, as I stated, all departmental comments are satisfied. Everyone has signed off.
Okay, thank you. Let's have a motion by Michael, second by Ed. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that resolution item D is approved. The next item, what do I want? Okay, item F, okay. F, item 1, planning board job 1912A, 711.
Oh, yes, this is the 7-Eleven on the corner of Conklin and 110. All departmental comments have been satisfied. We did add an additional condition about those extra plantings in the corner as requested by the board. And they had submitted their letters of no hazard from the FAA. So all departmental comments have been satisfied. And I believe it was a type 2 action, so there is no secret resolution.
Secret's complete.
So this is complete. Council, any comments?
No, the record was closed previously, Matt.
Yeah, we also closed the record on this.
Closed the record, so the resolution is ready for consideration in G on page 2.
Okay, so let's go to item G. Again, it's planning board job 1912A, 711 Inc. This is to approve the site plan. Motion by Dan, second by Frank. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? The site plan is approved. We have several communications. Letter dated September 9th from Deborah Yelvington, president of Dynamic Permits, to Matt Esposito regarding requesting a hold put on site plan review. Matt?
Yeah, this letter describes that the property owner has come on some tough times financially with COVID, and they wanted to kind of just not withdraw their application, but put it on the back burner. So if this item is on our record extended, so we could discuss at that point of the agenda, but the planning department supports that and would recommend extending the record 6 months. To give that
We'll
out.
take that up when we get to that. Item 2 is a letter from Road Managing Partner, Texas Roadhouse, regarding parking procedures and protocols for employees.
This one relates to Texas Roadhouse. The board has requested this supplemental communication as to how Texas Roadhouse would advise their staff to utilize that alternate parking on the site. Well, we can discuss it further. That matter is also extended to the
We'll
record.
take that up. Okay, both of these communications. All right, we have the planning board minutes from August 24th, 2020. Michael?
Yes, those been this afternoon, and all my questions were accepted by her. And they were implemented.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? No? Okay. Motion by Frank, second by Dan. All in favor? Of the next one.
Page 5.
Page 5. This goes back to December 10th, 2018. Job 1535 AE and that's charge.
Oh, yes, revisions were submitted on this and they're currently under review. The board had previously discussed, there's some outstanding comments and we want to make sure those all get addressed before the board took any further action on this, whether it be referral or recommendation to the town board. So while those revisions are under review, we recommend extending the record to November 16th, 2020.
November 16th. I need a motion to extend the record to November 16th. Motion Ed. Second Michael. All in favor? Opposed? If the record is extended. The next item is August 26, 2019, job 1839 AFD, Texas Roadhouse.
So this was that matter that was on for communication. I don't know if the board has any comments, but they implemented a procedure or plan to kind of refer their employees to that alternate parking. And I know the board had also mentioned potentially some additional covenant language to further reinforce that. If the board's comfortable, we could close the record and bring back next week for work session reso, and I can work out that covenant language with Mr. Casey and add it to the resolution.
Any questions? Did everybody have a chance to review the letters? All right, so.
Motion to close.
Should we close the record?
Yeah.
Okay. So I need a motion to close the record. Motion Michael, second Ed, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's go to the next item, December 9th, 2019. Job 1924 AK, Conklin Street Partners LLC.
Same status with this application. We're still working with the applicant on a traffic signal plan. We just got back what we needed and hopefully can resolve it shortly, but we recommend extending the record to our next meeting of 10/5/20.
I'm sorry, October.
October 5th, 2020.
Motion by Dan, second by Frank to extend the record to October 5th, 2020. Got that second by Frank? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Record is extended. Let's go to the next page, page 6. January 6th, 2020. That right?
Yep, you're at Farmingdale.
Okay, job 1936, AGE Farmingdale Hospitality Apartments LLC.
So the town board did approve the change of zone for this application, but we're still awaiting revisions to be submitted from the applicant. We recommend extending the record to October 19th, 2020.
October 19th.
Are we having training that night? It's changed.
Oh, you're right.
So should we just extend it one more week?
Yeah, yeah, we should do it 10/26.
10/26.
Sorry.
Okay, good catch, Dan. Motion by Dan, second by Frank. All in favor? Opposed? Record is extended. Okay, let's jump down to June 15th, 2020. job 1829A and Dixon Gas.
Revisions are currently under review. There were a couple minor details that needed to be corrected on the plans. Planning staff recommends extending the record to October 5th, 2020.
Motion by Frank, second by Ed. All in favor, the record is extended to October. Next page 7. Item 2, planning board job 1954A, FW1.
This is on our,
On the addendum.
addendum for the-
Okay. So do we need, we can close this record right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so motion by Michael, second by Ed to close the record. All in favor? Aye. The record is closed. Okay, let's move to the next item, pardon? Yeah, planning board job 1825A, Galbraith Estates of Copac. Modified.
So the planning department is still having conversations with the applicant regarding revising the plans based off some of the feedback that we had at the public hearing. Planning staff recommends extending the record to October 26th,
October
2020.
26th. Motion by Frank, second by Dan to extend the record to October 26th. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, August 3rd, item 2, which is planning board job 20-08, Deborah Dunn.
So this is the item 1 from our communications. The applicant had requested that this application be put on hold. They're experiencing some financial hardships due to COVID, and it's also getting into their busier season. So they requested that it be kind of put on hold for 6 months. Planning staff has no objection to that, and if the board is satisfied, we can extend the record to March 1st, 2021.
March 1st. Motion by Ed. Second by Michael. All in favor? Record is extended. Item 3, planning board job 1937, Sarah Property Management.
So we are pending submittal of revisions from the applicant. Planning staff recommends extending the record to 10/26/20.
Motion by Dan, second by Frank. All in favor? Next page 8. August 10th, 2020, planning board job 1929A, 1050 Front Route 110.
So revisions are in and under review by the department. Hopefully wrapped up soon. Planning staff recommends extending the record to October 5th,
To
2020.
October 5th. Okay. Motion by Ed, second by Frank. All in favor to extend the record to 10/5. Okay. Why don't we?
Yeah, we have one resolution and 2 architecturals. We can do those now or after public hearing.
Okay, let's do them.
Close the record on it.
Yes.
The work session.
Okay, this is a planning board job 1954A FWS.
Yeah, all departmental comments have been satisfied. It is a type 2 action, so secret has been completed. So I'll defer to council for.
Yeah, so there is no secret resolution required, so we can move right to the site plan approval resolution, which is in good order, Mr.
All right,
Chairman.
okay, fine. So then let's go to item B, planning board job 1954A FWS. We need a motion to approve the site plan.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Michael, second by Ed. All in favor? Approved. Okay, let's, item C, architectural review, we have 2 applications, application 134148. Amanda White and Chad.
Yes, this is an expansion of an existing house. Everything is in good order.
Motion by Frank, Second by Dan, second, all in favor? Aye. Item 2, application 134129, Paul and Christine Buffett.
Same thing with this, all the departmental comments are satisfied, everything is in good order.
Motion by Michael, second by Dan, all in favor? We are going to get back to the agenda. Okay. For public hearing, a site plan review, change of zone, planning board job 2006, AE, Galatano, Pinello. Scheduled for 7:30. I apologize, it's 7:32. But thank you all for coming out this evening, and we will begin the public hearing. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Nicole Blanda. I'm an attorney at Zell, Blanda, and Visconti with offices at 535 Broad Hollow Road in Melville.
Okay, let me just state just for the record again, the planning board shall have the right to rely on any information as presented by the applicant. If any such information is later found to be inaccurate or incorrect, the planning board may determine that any approvals, building permits, or other actions previously granted in connection with the application are null and void. Ms. Blanda, did you receive the memorandum from the planning?
Yes, I
Commission?
did.
Dated the 17th of September.
Yes.
And do you have any questions, comments, objections?
No, I do
to
not.
any of the conditions, covenants, or restrictions?
No, I do not.
Please proceed.
I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Tommy Pinello, seeking a recommendation for a change of zone of 4 commercial parcels that are presently zoned Business E to MR multiple residence, and also site plan approval ultimately of what we're calling phase 2 of a prior approved development that was rezoned back on December 19th of 2018. Phase 1, as I'm going to call it tonight, was approved by the ZBA in February of 2019. And this planning board in March 2019 as well approved that site plan. It's currently under construction. It was approved as a 16 one-bedroom unit apartment project. Following the approval of that site, the applicant was encouraged by the town to purchase parcels that are on the northwest corner of Montauk Highway and Hawkins. The board might be very familiar with the bar that used to be on that corner. Most recently, it was Trifecta Bar. And there were numerous complaints and issues over the years from the
Well, I would
various.
assume the board would move.
Why would I assume they would know the bar?
I'm not familiar with the board.
Because,
Maybe Jerry is, because his office is right there.
Mr. O'Neill, because the board is obviously up on the issues that affect the town, and so that's why you'd be familiar with that particular bar. So we're here tonight on the properties, again, that are located on the northwest corner of Montauk Highway and Hawkins in Copeg. These are 4 separate tax lots that cumulatively have a lot area of 21,178 square feet. When they're combined with the prior site that we call phase 1, we have a total of 1.312 acres. For the purposes of ZBA and for variances that are involved and the overall site plan, the planning department and the town is treating this as a combined site now. So these parcels in the front where Mr. Esposito has the little icon, these are currently zoned Business E. Tax lot 56 had a 2-story building on it that was constructed back in 1940. There was no parking on that site. It was wall-to-wall building. Tax lot 57, which was the bar, also was wall-to-wall building, had no parking on site. Tax lot 58 previously had a store. There's now an office there. And tax lot 59 had a CO for a 2-family dwelling, which was a 2-story building and a 1.5-story garage, just to give the board a sense of what was there. Tonight, we're proposing to combine these parcels as phase 2 to the existing MR development. We would like to construct a 2-story building with a footprint of 5,040 square feet. We're proposing 12 one-bedroom units to be within this building. The building would be in line with the building to the west that fronts on Montauk Highway. So it would have the same line, same setback. The site would continue to have the 1 curb cut on Montauk Highway for ingress and egress, excuse me, that was approved by the DOT. There would also be cross access from, I'm going to call it phase 2 to phase 1 or phase 1 to phase 2. Mr. Esposito, if you can kind of circle the arrows that go right there. So as you pull in from Montauk Highway, you can either make a right and head to the new building. You can come out that way, or you can go out onto Hawkins Boulevard. The second curb cut, like I said, is on Hawkins Boulevard, and that was previously approved by the prior site plan. There's additional landscaping provided, particularly on the northwest corner of Montauk Highway and Hawkins. It really opens up that corner. There used to be a building there. Now you'll have street trees, shrubs, and grass. When combined with the other site, you would have approximately 13,000 square feet of landscaped area. The building has handicap accessibility. Lighting, of course, will be dark sky compliant, meaning no spillover. The refuse enclosure location has been discussed with and approved by the town DEC. We have a standard sized refuse enclosure that was approved as part of the prior site plan. And there was a request by the town DEC for an additional 10 by 10 for bulk items and recycling. So there's a smaller refuse enclosure right behind the one that was originally approved that we're proposing right there. That impacted our parking. So we lost one space. So we would have complied with our parking requirement, but because of the 10 by 10 additional refuse enclosure, we've lost one space. So we will be requiring a one space parking variance. Phase 1 met parking, just so the board is aware of that. So as combined, we're required to have 56 spaces. We're providing 55. And we would be going obviously to the ZBA to request that one space parking variance. We will be closing existing curb cuts for the parcels that are along Montauk Highway and adding new sidewalks and curbing that are in line with the DOT regulations and requirements. There are permeable pavers on site. If you see the gray shaded area, as per the New York State DEC, they requested permeable pavers over there and we have put them in. We will have large capacity drainage vaults to improve drainage capacity on the site. And we can and will handle all drainage on the site. The buildings are all to 2020 building code standards and they meet the FEMA requirements. We are not entering the building at grade. The base flood elevation is 6 foot. Our first floor elevation is at 9 foot. So that's why you see, if you look at the elevations, there are stairs and you head up, and it's the same as for the prior approved buildings as well. There are no basements. We can't have basements here. We will not have basements here. There are crawl spaces with adequate flood venting so that if there is water, it can pass through underneath the building. This also meets the state code requirements and the FEMA requirements. Each unit will be approximately 850 square feet. If you look at the floor plans, you can see these are true 1-bedrooms. There's no sitting room. There's no den. There's no little tea area. This is a kitchen. There's a living room. And you go into a bedroom. There's a washer, dryer, and a bathroom. So these are modest sized units. We reviewed, as we said in the beginning, all of the covenants and restrictions that are requested, and we have no issues with them. As the board is aware, if this is approved, there will be a 20% affordable housing component, and the applicant understands that. There are still some open items that we are handling with planning and the other departments. And my architect is here tonight to answer any questions as well. I know we have neighbors, so if the board has any questions for me right now, I'm happy to answer them. However the board wants to handle it.
Do any of the board members have any questions? No? Okay. Frank.
You mentioned that it's handicap accessible,
Yes,
and then you mentioned that the stairs.
there's a ramp. There's a ramp as well. Yes, yes.
Does anybody have any questions of the architect? No, maybe later. All right, thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the board regarding this application? Any members of the public? Sir, please come on. Please state your name and address for the record.
Frank Curtin, 105 Hawkins Boulevard, on the corner of the Bergen Court dead end. Since this,
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
yes, sir.
Please proceed.
Yeah, after these 8 units went up, the quality of life in the area just went up tremendously. It's just a different neighborhood completely. So we feel that the additional 12 units that we're looking at will further increase the quality of life for the whole area. And that's why we're for it.
Is that all you have to say?
That's about it. Unless you have any questions.
That's pretty direct. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Okay, again, please state your name and address.
Joanne Curtin, 105 Hawkins Boulevard.
You swear to tell the truth, the
Yes.
whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I'm also in favor of the new project. The buildings that are up now are very good looking and will give a better quality of life for the neighborhood.
How bad was that bar?
Pardon?
How bad was the bar back in the day?
Very bad.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
all you have to say. You don't have to go any further. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board regarding this application? Anyone else? Sir? You came all the way here, got your mask on, we're all socially distancing. Please state your name and address for the record.
John Vogt, VOGT, 264 West Lido Promenade.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Let's go ahead.
First, the first thing we said, the demolition of some of the properties happened up there without permits, is our understanding. And even on phase one, it happened without permits. So I don't know, they seem to get away with it. This time we almost missed the hearing because the hearing signs were hidden. One was in the storefront of that building they want to rip down, and the other was on Hawkins behind the pole. On top of that, it just, Copaig is gone, Copaig and Lindenhurst and Amityville's gone apartment crazy. There's apartments being built on every vacant piece of land. And our research shows that, as be it most of it anecdotal, that there's no demand for these buildings. So our concern is what's going to happen when we don't get all these vacancies and they start crying poverty and everything. On top of that, the increased traffic, somebody was just killed 2 nights ago out by the 7-Eleven in Lindenhurst, because you get the traffic's out of control already on Montauk Highway, and this is just going to add to it. We'd like to see that property, ideal use for it, maybe a little park with a nice restaurant. There was a restaurant there before. That might even add to the issue. I understand the people that live there, their concerns. You know, they had a parking lot before, now you got some buildings, but the counter to that, I hear from people now, their backyard just looks at, or the front yard just looks at these big buildings. So our concern, again, get to it, it's just too many apartments. It's having a negative impact on the school district, taxes, the rest of the people that live in the area. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Thank you. Sir?
Hi, Ken Brussel, 50 East Kissimmee Road.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Please.
So I will say that the plans do look like it was very thoughtfully planned. The buildings that have gone up, they do look attractive. I can't, my neighbors will probably want to shoot me outside after this. The buildings do look nice, but I do have the same concern that John raised, that the buildings that were previously on the corner of the bar, I don't know if you've been down there, it's not, the building isn't there anymore. And I had the same concern that we didn't know about what was going on until some community spread. My other concern is that she mentioned that the apartment sizes were going to be about 850 square feet. My house is a 2-bedroom house that's 869 square feet. I don't see how 19 square feet defines that it's 1 bedroom or how it cannot be prevented from split. So that's my concern, just overpopulation. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir. Again, please state your name and address.
My name is Andrew Meyerowitz, 145 Baylon Avenue in Copaig.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the
I do. I'm here representing about 45 households on the Baylon Avenue, Jervis Avenue area. And we are kind of done with all the apartments going up. To speak to the first gentleman that came up, there are 50 brand new or under consideration units going up in less than half a mile of Merrick Road in Copaig. When does it become enough is enough? How many of these units do we need to see go up and have 4 red signs in front of them? It's getting a little ridiculous, and we as a group do not want to see any more apartments on our corners. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Hello,
Please state your name and address.
my name is Kathy Gullo, 290 West Riviera Drive in Lindenhurst.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing?
I do.
Thank
Okay. I'm here representing 190 people who signed a petition online and 76 signatures that I personally got on Saturday at the open market on the American Venice. And they're all against the apartment. People are stating enough is enough. They don't want to see any more apartments. Just like the other gentleman said, every vacant piece of land that we have is now turning into an apartment building. And we can't stand it. The traffic is horrific. The school districts are being burdened. The shopping areas, I was in Fine Fair today, and the parking lot, there were people fist fighting over parking spaces. So that's a whole nother apartment building thing, but we want to know how people are getting away with tonight requesting a demolition permit. It's right on the variance sign. The buildings have been gone for months. So how does the town allow that to happen? That's what we want to know. Who gets favoritism and why? It's just blatantly wrong. So I would like to hand in this petition.
Please.
It's 190 plus 76. So
Why don't you, okay, you'll take that, Jerry. Have that, that'll all be part of
and
it.
that they were all taken in 3 days. Friday night, you could see the proof of the online petition when it was posted and how quickly the signatures were gathered. They're going up by the minute. So there's a lot of people against it, more than there are for it. And the town should recognize that
All right.
and respect the people who live here and who pay taxes and who pay all the school taxes. We deserve that.
Thank you very much. Hold on. Yes. And then we'll go to- Then please state your name and address.
Hi, Judy Gentile, 59 East Hollywood, Lindenhurst.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing.
I most certainly do. This has not been my first rodeo coming to.
I'm sorry, you
Oh,
gotta speak
sorry.
up a little.
This is not my first rodeo here. I've been to all of these meetings over the years for these apartments that we've been attempting to stifle. And as far as I know, we've only been successful for one. I also live in the Venice, and I only knew about this meeting because they put something on their Facebook page. I did not see any signs showing me in that area. I pass that area every day of my life. Didn't see anything saying that there was this meeting. The other problem is that we've got COVID, and I really had to think long and hard if I was coming tonight. I decided this was too important for me to stay home. That's why I'm sitting in the way back, because I'm at risk and I don't want to catch anything. But I am here to say, I've lived here 24 years. I'm very, very saddened to see what's become of Montauk Highway and the apartments. The one that's right by Fine Fair that just got whipped up, that huge behemoth. It's so ugly, and right on the curb, I'm sure cars are going to crash into that thing like crazy. I can't even believe that got approved. But getting back to this one, again, what I feel like what's happening is you're approving something, and then you're moving the goalposts, and now you're approving phase 2 we're on, and then what's going to be phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. Why does the goalposts keep moving, and why are we keep changing the rules as to what this land is supposed to be used for? I don't think it's necessary to do that. Yes, I realize we're in hard times right now, but this has started from years ago. This didn't just start in the last 7 months. since COVID began. And I, like I said, have been to every one of these meetings, and I'm totally opposed to this. I don't know if I made your list, but if I didn't, I'm here to tell you, I'm opposed personally. And it just very much saddens me. I thought in the time, every time I speak and every time I've seen people come to tears up here, seriously. And I just am amazed at the disregard for our area, that people just don't care that we live there, it's our home, and we've got to look at all these apartments and all this additional traffic. And then who knows down the road what's going to happen as the years go by and these apartments don't get rented. Because you're building 380 apartments right by the train station right now as we speak in Lindenhurst. So you've got apartments going up all over the town of Babylon. It's not just in Copiague and Lindenhurst, it's in the town of Babylon in general. So I don't know why the town of Babylon keeps approving these, and I sure would love someone to explain to me why.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address.
Mike Higgins, 4 McKinley Street in Copiague.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please proceed.
All right, thank you for hearing me out. As my neighbors have stated, there is a perception that everybody gets a variance. The dialogue started about a transit-oriented walkable downtown. We're now miles from the train station using that same excuse to approve these. There are buildings that are still going up and not yet rented. There's completed buildings that aren't completely rented. We have a builder that's facing financial hardships due to COVID, is already, playing it fast and loose, just, knocking down a building before he has the rights. If this new 12-unit building doesn't get rented up by working professionals for $2,000 a month, will be rented to 2 families. Look at the state of our schools. Our high schoolers are forced to go remote because the hybrid option that was offered us could not be supported due to the budget. We're going to have supposed 1-bedroom apartments that are going to be sending more and more children to the school and not paying the fair share of taxes. So it is time to tap the brakes, let some of these other projects get filled and built, and then we'll see what the demand is. Why does this builder get a new variance when he's not even done building the last buildings? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Please. And please state your name and address.
Elizabeth Kiggins, 136 Lafayette Street, Copiague.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please.
Having grown up in Copiague since I was 3 years old, I own the home that I grew up in. I pay taxes. I would like to know, what do people have for the big picture for the town? You had downtown revitalization, which was a joke. All it did was put up, all right, an apartment building where it was a vacant lot. But there's more traffic on the streets. You cannot drive from one place to the other. Everybody jots down all the side streets. But any regards for traffic signals, stop signs, people, ridiculous. Now you have 1-bedroom apartments, additional 1-bedroom apartments. I understand the builder says there's not going to be room for other people, but everyone knows if push comes to shove, you get what you can afford. If you have a child, you make room for that child. And I have no problems with that because that's what people have to do. But then they go to the school. They go, we already split Duval Garden into 2 schools, which is ridiculous. Then we go to the high school, which is the school district has been cut. I have paid taxes to the school district. I have no kids. I don't care. But now that we've cut it and we're sending even more and more, it's getting absolutely ridiculous. Everybody talks about that bar that's been there forever. Well, it's been there forever. Nobody's closed it down beforehand. So it's had its problems on and off, but let's get over that. There's lots of other buildings that are still in town that have been there forever that have had problems. So that's not, when push comes to shove, that's not the issue. Now regarding the things that the woman, the architect or the attorney has spoke about
Yeah,
earlier,
as the attorney, we're here to review the site plan and see how this all fits together. Any comments
okay,
on
well,
that?
my question about that is, she said they were taking away one parking spot. Are they adding additional parking spots for the additional 12 units? I didn't hear that mentioned.
Okay, we'll ask that question.
Second of all, she said that the trash is being they're eliminating some trash because of space. Are they adding more trash receptacle, trash storage units for the additional 12 units? I did not hear that as well. To get, push them to show. Also, if the parking there gets out, it's supposed to say that these people are not going to park in the vacant lots to the southeast corner, across from what used to be B&B, which is now a stand parking lot. So who's to say that's not going to happen? And we're just going to have overflow parking. And then are we going to have a situation like we did on the apartment buildings over on Baylon? These are all things when I say the big picture, we have additions and additions and additions. We've never hear the big picture. If we need multiple units, has anybody thought about maybe building a co-op or townhouses or condos where people pay taxes and they have pride in ownership so that, things go bad, they don't just leave and then the apartment complex becomes terrible, because that's what they can do. And the owners have already remade their money. They don't care. So, whenever it says, oh, we need affordable housing, those are options besides owning housing. And I've never heard that mentioned anywhere in the town of Babylon except for seniors down on the water. But thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Hi, guys.
Please state your name and address.
Sure. Michelle Insinger, 94 Venetian Plum, Lindenhurst, New York.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing
Of course. I'm also with Adopt a House, as you guys know, which is a nonprofit that's been dealing with Sandy, as well as the American Venice Civic. I've had this conversation for several years now with this project because I don't think, it was touched on the situation with FEMA. That is a flood zone. The whole entire area is a flood zone. In fact, it goes to that white building there. So far, what I don't understand, and I've had this conversation before, and yes, you're building to FEMA's requirements today. But FEMA's requirements are going to change. Thanks for my organization's advocacy. As of October 1st, FEMA's Risk 2.0 will not be applied to until next October. What that means is buildings that are built in flood zones are going to be subjected to different requirements that everyone is used to under NFIP as it stands today. So my question is, why are we building another building for apartments for 12 more families in a flood zone that never lived in one before? That's my question. Also, we also know there's a possibility of another set of apartments directly across the street coming up. Is there a quota to be made for how many apartments are within a small area at all? Because this is getting insane that we are concentrating in an area, so many different apartments, especially in areas that we know flooded. I was on a conference call today with an organization that we work with. We are working on things in the Venice. This is unheard of in the other states we're working with right now in our projects. South Carolina, they are removing families out of flood zones. We are putting them in. I don't understand this. I don't think you should be doing this at all. Now, as far as the school goes, the problem with the school is we were cut. We are a distressed school district. We lost 54 employees, teachers, what have you, in our school district. And we're looking to put more people in that aren't paying towards the taxes? I don't understand that either. I just don't. Why, how many more times is this gonna happen? We, as the civic, have taken that property, which is an empty property, because we lack open space in this area, and turned it into something useful, completely useful to the community. This serves one person only. So again, I have to ask these questions over and over again. Why are we concentrating so many people in a distressed school district in flood zones? What does that give us? Anything? That's my question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Okay, sorry, sir. Please state your name and address.
Rob Sanchez, 132 West Alhambra Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. I live just south of this new proposed area, right across the street, Bandagis Prom on the first block, which was severely flooded when Sandy hit. Okay, I've been living in this town since 1988. And I have children in schools. I pay a lot of money in taxes. I have a high school student right now who's working at home. And I have a 9-year-old that is going to schools on and off days. And I have a wife who also is part of the PTA and deals with a lot of the school issues. We have, as other people have said, our district is distressed and our children are not getting the kind of learning that they should be. We really need to look as a community and as, the town, we rely on you guys to do the right thing for us. Our taxes are ridiculously high and it's very tough for us to live here. But we love our town and we do everything we can to make our town better. Okay, so when things like this happen, you have all these apartments coming up, again, you have people coming in, they don't pay any taxes, they add more children to our school districts, more traffic to the neighborhood. Okay, I can't tell you how many people have been killed right behind my house on Montauk Highway since I've been living here. Drunk drivers, young kids, people run down because people don't pay attention as it is. And now you're adding more with vehicles. And as this lady said over here, there's the corner across the street diagonally from them. We're going to be fighting that lady next because she wants to put up apartments there. And the last time she told us, hey, tough shit, if this doesn't work, then I'll just maybe rent it and turn it into a 7-Eleven or something. What kind of nonsense is this with you guys? We put you guys into office to help us. And we vote for all you guys, whether, if you are actually elected, whoever was volunteer, we appreciate that. But we need everybody to work for the community. And I'm not saying that their plan is bad. Their buildings are beautiful. They look really, really nice. And yeah, it was an eyesore over there, but it's a lot more traffic. And between, like the other person said on Baylon, that huge building that's 3 stories tall, it's impossible. I'm afraid to see how many accidents end up over there now. We really need to do a little bit better on the planning board and the IDA to make sure that the people out here put the buildings in the right areas. I'm not saying that people can't build, but you guys got to put your heads together and say, you know what, this doesn't make any sense. Let's not put this here. Let's instead put it over here where it's not as jammed up, and speak with the property owners. You guys got to work with us. Really. I mean, it's a tough situation for all of us. And I get it that they're trying to do the right thing for the community by making everything look nicer. But it is a lot of traffic and it's a lot more people in a town that's way, way overloaded. And the school districts are really the ones that are suffering, which means that my kids, okay, that I have been paying God knows how many years worth of taxes into this town. My kids are not getting the type of education that they need. And we need your help.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Ms. Blanda, do you want to come back? We heard questions regarding traffic, FEMA flood zone.
Sure. So the FEMA flood zone, I'm going to have Chuck Lembo from Spaces discuss, but I just want to say something. This is not an IDA project. There's no tax abatement here. Mr. Pinello will be paying taxes. So like any other property owner in the town, someone has to pay taxes. You don't just get exempt from paying taxes because people are in apartments. Perhaps the taxes might be put in their rent,
Well,
you know.
the taxes are put in there.
Exactly, but taxes get paid. So this is not a tax exempt project. As far as traffic, Nelson and Pope has been doing the review, and I've been working with planning as to what else, if anything, needs to be done on that end. There are still some open comments, but in terms of flow and the site flow and the roadways, they didn't have a comment. They had a comment about the parking space, which we are still looking into. To get back to the refuse enclosures, there are two. We're not removing refuse enclosures. We're adding a refuse enclosure, an additional 10 by 10. So our original one is 16 by 10, which is actually 2. And then you have a 10 by 10, which the Town Department of Environmental Control wanted for recyclables and bulk items. So that's the smaller refuse enclosure. So nothing was taken away, it was actually added. We have added additional parking spaces for phase 2. So all of those spaces that you see Mr. Esposito showing, those are all the additional spaces. We are short one space where you see the landscaped island. Thank you, Mr. Esposito. That is what is taking up our last space that would have allowed us to comply. But because that is there, we are short one space. So that is the situation with the parking. As far as the restaurant that used to be there, the Maison Olay, I cannot tell you how many different ways and means and things we tried to do with that site under 2 prior planning commissioners, and nothing could ever go forward. There were no restaurants interested in the site. There was a car wash interested in the site. Nobody wanted that. There was a retail store at one point interested in the site. It bowed out because it didn't want to be there. And now, quite frankly, with COVID, no restaurant is going to go there. Restaurants have gone under. Anthony's Coal Fire Pizza, which is a big chain.
Excuse me. It's not fair. Everybody's listening to everybody's comments, but please let council make her points.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As somebody who's in the field of real estate, and what I'm hearing from landlords, from developers, from builders, if you can't get a drive-through right now, there's no restaurant going in. Nobody can afford it. Restaurants have shut down. They're dead. They're barely surviving. If they don't have a drive-through, they're like on their way out. They're on life support right now. And what I'm being told is I'm not going to be seeing a restaurant application for a very long time unless it does have a drive-through. You're not going to get a drive-through here. So the idea of a restaurant going here or a retail store going here, the mom and pop, it's just not the way of the economics right now. It's just the reality of the situation. And my clients wouldn't be building apartments if they weren't going to make money. If they weren't going to rent these things out, they would not be building them. And I see their rent rolls, and I help them apply for construction loans. And I can tell you, a bank is not going to give a construction loan unless they can prove that they rented out the apartments that they already have as leverage. So I can attest that these buildings are full. When you see a for rent sign, it's to get you to call so that you're calling that landlord and he can find you something someplace else. Maybe he has something in Bay Shore, maybe he has something out in town of Brookhaven, but it doesn't mean that the site is vacant. So I just wanted to make that point. As far as FEMA, I'm gonna have the architect because he has more expertise in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
It's Charles Lembo, offices at 410 West Montauk Highway, Lindenhurst, New York.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Talk to us a little bit about the FEMA requirements and things that are being done to mitigate potential floods.
Yeah, first, just some background real quick, so you know that I know what I'm talking about. My office, we dealt with over 200 Sandy projects, reconstructions, elevations. I've done flood abatement and disaster recovery work on commercial and residential projects from Mastic Beach all the way through Brooklyn to Seagate. So I have a pretty vast knowledge of what has to happen in order for a building to comply with the FEMA flood regulation. I understand that the neighbors are concerned because the area was hit hard. I live in Lindenhurst. My office is on Montauk Highway. The only response I have is that this will be the most flood compliant building in the neighborhood at the time it's constructed. The latest version of the New York State Building Code just came out. It's the 2020 version. We started designing this building under the 2015 code, but now we're going to have to update the drawings when we get to the construction document phase. And it complies. I don't, as far as what FEMA is going to do in the future, whenever anybody comes up with a new code, it usually takes New York State about 5 or 6 years before they adopt it. There's no way for me to understand what could possibly happen in the future and try to design for those requirements. It's just, obviously, it's impossible. All I can do is design for the current requirements, and I can tell you that these buildings are in compliance and they're infinitely better than the 5 buildings that were there that we're replacing. They're all above the base flood elevation by 3 feet. They all have flood resistant materials below the base flood elevation. They all have adequate engineered flood vent design, so any storm surge that hits the building will flow through it and not knock the building off its foundation. It's just, it complies. And I don't know how to respond to say it doesn't comply enough, because it complies. And that's my response. I don't know how else to answer the question.
Do any of the board members have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Matt? We are going to keep the record open until October 5th, so if there are any comments or any additional information anybody would like to bring to the board's attention, they can send it to us either by mail or email. Send it directly to the planning board. I need a motion to keep the record open until the 5th of October. Motion, Ed? Motion. Second, Frank? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. Approved. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Where would we send follow-up to? That would be to the town here?
To the town planning department?
By regular mail at 200 Sunrise Highway, or planning comment.
All right. Through email, the email, I'm told, planning.comments?
No,
Planning comments
At townofbabylon.org?
at townofbabylon.com.
Okay.
Or you could send them 200 East Sunrise Highway, Town of Babylon. Again, planning department.
Yeah, mail won't get you by October 5th.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Anything else? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Michael, second by Ed. All in favor, this meeting adjourned. 8:15. 8:15.
Good.